Why do you feel stuck even when you know so much? It's not your stuck, it's your state. For builders who nailed the tech and now face the rest, this is UNCODED, translating tech into profit. Hello everybody, this is UNCODED, and this evening we have Bradford Carlton, who is a consultant in AI automation. Hi Bradford, and thank you to join us this evening.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Maurizio, for having me.
Tell us something about you, where you are, what you do, and your experience, your background. And
Certainly. Well, I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. It's they say New York never sleeps, but this town, the lights are on all the time. So it's a beautiful town to live in. It's blue skies every day. It's a little hot right now in the summer, but we'll live. My background is I'm formerly an attorney. I was a business law attorney. I was actually the youngest named partner in the state of Ohio at the age of 27. I wrote the book on one subject at the age of 27. So I'm a little bit smart. At least I like to tell myself that. And when my daughter was born 8 years ago, I decided to switch over to business consulting. Being an attorney, it's stressful. It takes a lot of time, hours. Figured I'm doing business law, business consulting's the same thing, right? So switched over to business consulting, and about 7 years ago, we moved to Las Vegas, and I was trying to find business the way everybody would normally do it. I was going to networking events, and I was shaking hands and cold emailing people. And I went to one event, and I met a gentleman who happened to own a consulting firm here in town, and he invited me to meet all the other partners. And about 3 weeks or so after I moved to town, I was hired as the president of this international business consulting firm. And my job was to build out all the marketing plans and business plans for these companies that were coming to us from all over the world in order to be able to present them to investors. And so I'm like, okay, I don't have a clue how to do that, but I'll make the best of it I can. And so I'm putting stuff together and I'm presenting them to the investors, and the investors are looking at this and they're going, "You don't have a clue what you're doing, do you, Brad?" And I go, "No, I don't." And they said, "You know what? Because you're honest, we like you, and we're going to teach you everything we know." I'm like, okay, sweet deal for me. So I've been friends with investors for the past 6 years. I've made all kinds of referrals over to investors. I think I've referred something like $6 billion of business funding needs to investors for equity, for loans, for everything all over the world, ranging from $10,000 all the way up to over $100 million at a time. And so this is kind of my mainstay. I know business consulting. I've seen hundreds, if not thousands, of business plans. I know what makes businesses work and what makes them tick. And it was about 3 years ago, 2022, when ChatGPT came out. And I was just like, this thing is the future. This is the coolest thing in the world because it writes everything for me, right? Like I don't have to write anything ever again. And it was all well and good. And the whole time I was thinking to myself, I need to learn to code. Because if I can learn to code, I can start building tools that I can use with ChatGPT. And it didn't work. It just didn't work. I kept trying, didn't work. And so it was this last December 2024. I sat down. I'm like, I'm going to learn to code. And I sat there for 3 weeks trying to figure it out. And I couldn't do it. I just could not figure out how to string it together, how to write it. It was just taking too long. Even with ChatGPT helping me, everything broke that I tried to run. And so I said to myself, I can't quit. I'm already 3 weeks into trying to build stuff. I have to keep going. And that's when I learned about low-code and no-code platforms, and specifically n8n. And so when I found n8n, it was like the heavens opened up. It was so easy to make stuff. So I'm just putting stuff in there, and it goes. And I'm like, hey, I just automated away a job that takes me 2 hours every day, and I just push a button. This is the greatest thing in the world. And so my first focus was on replacing myself from my business. How can I just take everything that I do and turn it into a workflow that I just push a button and maybe speak into my phone, give it some details, and then it goes and does it. And that was all well and good for about 3 months. And I built all these workflows. And my wife comes to me one day. She goes, "You're not doing enough. You need to go sell this now." So I'm like, okay, I guess I'll go do something more. So I took all the workflows that I've been building and I put them onto a school community and onto YouTube, and I'm just giving it away for free because the way I see it is maybe there's somebody who is in my position who doesn't know how to code, who doesn't know how to do the tech side of stuff, who could use this tool.
Yeah,
And if they
at least
can,
can learn.
it's a lead magnet. So I put it out there. People find my workflows. They come to me. And then because they don't want to build anything, they go, "Hey, Bradford, can you build this for me?" And so that's how I'm operating my business at the moment. I'm still doing the business coaching and consulting. That's my main focus. I use the AI as a lead magnet to get people in. I got tutorial videos, I got templates, I got all that. But really, I'm there to talk about how to grow and scale their businesses.
Very smart. Congratulations, because this is not a normal trajectory, you know.
No.
You tell the story which is very funny and very easy and very causal, very a story full of freedom. But you know, you have to have an attitude to talk with people and to sell things to people, mostly things that you don't know how to develop, because you know at the beginning I think that no one was giving you the certainty of being able to develop a workflow or
Nope.
something similar.
No, there was
So,
very little content on YouTube on how to build stuff.
yeah,
The stuff that was out there was a trigger, an AI agent, and then an output. That was it with like a tool. Like, okay,
yeah,
but
yeah,
that's not a workflow. That's like a chat bot.
yeah, exactly. So congratulations, is very interesting things.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about how your engagement develop, how they work, how do you interface with the customer, how you talk with them, how you convince them. You start with the business process. You start from the need. You start instead from the technology. How the things are going on with the customer.
Sure. So I don't do any outbound marketing really. I don't focus on trying to get people to come to me. Instead, I put out content, I make relationships, and I let people come to me naturally on their own. And so, like I said, what I do is I make a workflow, and I try to make a new bot a day if I can. Just either taking something I already have and adding stuff to it, or just building something new. And then I make a YouTube video about it, and I put it out there. And then I never think about it again. Like it's out there. Like I might use it, but like I'm not thinking about the content. It's just evergreen. And I get, 20 to 30, maybe 40 people a day coming into my community. And I usually get 1 to 2 messages a day, if not a few a day, saying, "Hey, Brad, I would love it if you could help me develop this." And so if we're going to talk about that angle of it, what I'll do is I will have an initial call, just kind of like this, and say, "Hey, what is it you want to build?" And I record that call. That transcript from the call then goes through a workflow that I have that develops out all of their pain points, kind of the softwares that they use, what they're looking to build, what they need to have, what they want to have, all of the possible information that I could have gotten from that call. I then use that as a template for my discovery call, which I would then charge for. And I give them a checklist of everything that I would need from them based off that report. They fill that out first. I then will sit down with them with my checklist and go through everything. And really what I'm doing in a discovery call, because I'm not a tech guy, like I'm just not, I'm thinking through the business process. How does this actually work in practice in their company for their clients or for them or whatever they're doing? The tech side will figure itself out later.
So for you, the problem is to understand really what they are doing. Is a discovery
what is
call
their
in the
process?
real sense.
Yeah. I would say like when I'm dealing with a potential client, the number one issue I'll have, or they have, I should say, is they don't have processes. They have ideas. They think they know what they want, but they don't know how they do what they do. And so it's hard to translate what they do into a workflow if they can't even explain it to me.
Yeah.
And so we'd have the discovery call. I get all this information. I then have a team that helps me build these things because I'm kind of strapped for time myself. But I oversee it all still. And they put the workflow together and we run it and we test it and then we present it to the client. And that's pretty much all she wrote on that.
But they pay the discovery call. So
Yes. So
when you start to understand what is their processes, or when you start to jot down their processes, they are already paying you. You don't risk them to step out
Sure.
at the end of the process?
So for the initial call, when it's my very first chat with them, it's 15 minutes, no
No.
more than that. I don't charge for that one.
Yeah.
And then if I do a discovery call, I charge $150 an hour, and it can be 1 to 2, 3, 4 hours, depends on if they like to talk. Some people are just chatty; they just talk, right? That's the time. I'm happy to sit there and charge for that time.
I tell you a story. I tell you a story
Yeah.
so that we compare. You see, this is good. I mean, 2 years ago, it was 2022. I understood that there was something going on with AI and AI automation. Still, I didn't know n8n, but I knew that there were some other no-code tools. One of the tools I was using was a tool called Flowwise, which worked with LangChain, so very similar in some sense to, not very similar, but compatible with n8n. And I decided I was uncertain of what to do. So, and how to do it. So I met my cousin. My cousin is an AC repairer. He's a guy which repairs AC devices. So I asked him, what is the most critical problem that you have in your company? And he told me, well, a lot of people ask me to go on site to prepare a proposal for them. And, and I was a lot of time. I'm always over the phone. Whenever I go there, they think about buying, and most of the time they don't buy anymore. So for me, it's very critical because I lose a lot of time and I don't get any money. So I thought, well, I will prepare a small chatbot that will be working as a diagnostic tool to let him structure a proposal around an assessment of the house. So how big I have to build the AIC device in order to refrigerate the house? And I did it, and he started to use it, and he was working perfectly. And it was basically Flowwise interfacing ChatGPT, nothing else. There was nothing.
Amazing. Yeah.
So he was very happy, and I said, "Well, I will sell this. I will sell 100 of these." So I start to have a campaign. I did an outreach campaign, and I found a couple of guys. The first one, I call him. I explained what I was doing. He was very interested, and I told him, "Look, now I have to call you back because you have to explain me how do I have to produce this proposal for you. I want to understand what type of proposal you produce, what type of machine you sell. I wanted to personalize the proposal on his needs." And this was the point where the whole thing cracked down. Because to call me back, it took him 10 days. And the product was already done. I already had the product. But it took him too much to explain me his problem. So my business model was not smart enough, not smart as yours, in order to get some cash before starting to work with him.
Sure. Well, there is a small downside to doing it this way. Even just this morning, I had someone say that he didn't want to go forward with me because he wants to know what the end cost is going to be before I've had the discovery call. Like, well, I don't know because I don't know what you need. Well, I don't want to pay you for the discovery call until I know how much it's going to cost. So, oh well.
That's okay. I avoid to lose my time.
Yep, exactly. Save 2 hours right there.
So basically, there is any implication with later management of the technology? They call you, they ask you to go there and explain them? What happened when they start to, after you implemented it and they start to use your automation? They are autonomous in using them, or they need you to follow them through?
So anything that I make for someone, I attempt to make sure that it's fully automatic, that they don't necessarily need me in there fixing it all the time. Obviously, we have I have a 3-month maintenance add-on that I'll charge. So if you want me to come in and fix it for you, I'll be there for 3 months, or you can have your own tech guys try to figure it out. And anytime I give a workflow, I give the entire training system and an explanation of how everything's set up and hooked up. And I don't leave anybody wondering how it actually operates. It's not magic. It's a piece of software.
What kind of a pricing strategy you use? You use one-time payment for all the system, and the system is theirs, or you use a monthly subscription, recurring subscription? The price is high, the price is low. How do you manage the pricing? What are your thinking about the pricing?
So I do a one-time payment. But when I say one time, I mean I have an initial deposit and then pay toward the end, the remaining. And so the price is based on 2 things. It's the size of the project and how much my team tells me it's going to cost them. And so I take whatever number I get from the team that I have, and then I just double it, and that's how much I charge. And so they get theirs, I get mine, and then the maintenance, like I said, is an add-on. So if you want me to, or want us to do maintenance, I can do that. And I have an outsourced freelancer that handles that for me. So I don't actually do a lot of the work myself. I do the strategy, but I don't build, because I'm not a tech guy. Like could I build the workflows? Yeah. But in terms of pricing, because you're asking a specific question, yeah, it depends on how big it is. If they need a small chatbot for their website, a couple $100, maybe $500. If they're looking for an interface that has the database on the back end and that dynamic charts as the client's putting information in, that's several thousand, if not tens of thousands of dollars, depending on the extent of how much work it is.
Yeah. Anyway, your system is fully scalable. I mean, there is no constraint on scalability. I don't see any problem in growing your business as far as you want to take it.
That's right. That's how I've been thinking it from the very beginning. I didn't want to get stuck having to be there being the tech guy, because I'm not. Like, if anything, I'll be in there listening to them talk about their processes and go, oh, well, you should be doing this. And I can have another call with you under my consulting rate talking about that.
Too complicated.
You think so?
Too complicated. Yeah. I understand. Very nice. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Actually, I will ask you the question, but I don't see much going on. Is there any threat that you foreseen in this business, in you doing this business? Are you expecting something to change the situation?
If there's anything that might change it, it would be technology improving any further to the point that you or I would just tell our phone, hey, I need a bot that'll be my bookkeeper for me, and then it goes and does it, and then you have a bot that makes all of your financial decisions and everything for you without any effort. How long it's going to take to get there? I mean, could be 6 months, could be a year. We don't know.
Anyway, who cares?
Yeah. At that point, I'll be established as an AI consultant, and I'll be able to tell people to use it.
Do you have any type of competition in Vegas as of now? How many people are doing what you are doing, if you are aware of?
So I don't focus on just Vegas. I'm international. I don't like, the bigger the market, the more money I can make. Yeah. In the city of Vegas, there is like one guy who does AI consulting, and he developed basically a front end for Chat GPT, and everybody thinks he's got the greatest thing in the world. And when I go in there, I have to explain to them, yeah, I'm about to take away your entire job and everything that you do and turn it into an automated system. Are you okay with that? And most people aren't. They don't want to do that.
Obviously.
So that's why I focus on inbound rather than having to go find them and convince people to make it work.
Yeah, I mean, outbound is always complicated. Inbound is always the best if you have the bandwidth to operate it, because that is the problem.
It takes a lot of time making content to get people to come in. I will tell you that.
Yeah, content is another problem that is normally in the case you are talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Very nice. What desire, aims for the future. Obviously, I know that being in the state that you are, you don't have any. The only desire that you have is that everything continues as it is, as of now, obviously. But I have to ask you anyway.
Sure. My focus is on just getting ahead of the AI wave. Really finding a way to automate everything I do so I can spend more time with my family. Because isn't that what it really is about? That's why we work, is to take care of our house, to pay the bills, to get the food, and to enjoy life. And so hopefully AI turns out to be a tool that lets us do that. And if I can get ahead of this wave so that I'm teaching people how to get ahead of the wave, then I'll be fairly secure, at least for a while.
This was the sales proposition of my first AI customer. It was exactly the same. Free your time to be with your family.
That's right.
And I think it's the desire of everybody. I mean, I think that I was reading on LinkedIn this morning a lady from UK saying, I would like AI to make my laundry instead of writing my email, because if she makes the laundry, I am happy to write the email.
Sure. Well, with robotics coming the way it is, who knows what's going to happen 1-2 years from now?
No. In fact, the potential possibility are incredible. The technology is growing so fast. I've been looking at the no-code landscape for a while, but there are at least other 10, 15 potential tools that you can use without any problem.
There's a lot, yeah.
And the richness of AI tools that we have available are incredible. What is still limited is the breadth of the technology, meaning that in order to automate a process, you have to know the process and you have to describe the process.
Yeah.
And once you describe the process, you have to explain to the bot in the Canva, you have to create fixed connection between the various steps, which is basically the same kind of attitude of a programmer, no? The programmer knows which are the logical steps and build the logical step with the code. AI should be working the other way around, should be working starting from the data and then inventing the way how to manage the data and transform the data into the result.
That's absolutely right.
Probably, maybe, I don't know, who knows, no one knows. But while we talk about agent as something which is already spectacular, I am expecting that agent gets even smarter than what they are today. Smarter means free to do things, autonomous in deciding what to do based on certain criteria, and specialized on task.
Yes. I'm actually looking forward to that day, because as it is, I can probably automate 90% of everything. 90%. That's that last 10% that I need a human to do it. And so either right now I can do it, or I can send it off to have a VA to do it, maybe post on all of my social platforms, because I can't API into every single one of them. I need someone to to do it, but I give them all they need. I give them the image and the text and everything, right? But if I can have an agent do it, then I've automated 100%.
I think that the agent will be used in respect to the performance that they are able to guarantee. Mm-hmm. So while now you decide how to send, what are the steps to send an email, for example, let's make an example. There will be a time where you will say, I have to send an email. Who is willing to send me an email for this amount of money?
Was that a question?
And the infrastructure, because basically as of now, apart from the large language models that we know very well, AI has no infrastructure to operate. While, for example, for the web economy, the infrastructure was already there. It was the TCP/IP as a protocol. No, today there is no protocol for AI.
No, there really isn't.
These are agents that are spread around, that are built in company, but they don't communicate with each other. Imagine that your customer is able to invoice the work that the agent you built for him is able to do for someone else.
That's an interesting question. And I think there's some people out there who are doing that model where they build the software and they treat it like a SaaS. My focus has not been on treating anything I build as a SaaS for the reason that as soon as I make it and put it on YouTube, it's now free. It's there. All right. So my goal has actually been anything that I see on YouTube, I'll just make a version of it, my own version, put it out there. Okay, now your thing's out of business.
No, but for example, talking about your past job, attorney. Now, an attorney can be an easy job, but can be also a very complicated job and a very vertical job, a very specialized job.
Yes.
So, for example, if you are an attorney for litigation, just writing a letter, writing a contract is something very precious. It's a competency that not a lot of litigation attorney have. And there is a difference between a good letter from a good litigation attorney and a normal letter for a litigation attorney. So in the task, in the agent, if, for example, we imagine there is an agent which is specialized in writing letters for litigation cases, that if you build an agent which does only that, and you build it for a customer, you could be in the situation where your letter done with your agent is so good that could be used by some other people for a fee, obviously. It's an alternative business model because nowadays, AI automation business model is basically or subscription or the traditional one. You pay and I give you. No?
So it's funny you mention that specific example because I don't think there's any real protections on that. I don't think that makes sense as a business model. Having been an attorney, a lot of the contracts we used were from somebody else that we just copied and used ourselves. In fact, they have whole books full of templates. And nowadays with online, you just have to Google it, ChatGPT will make it for you. But if the AI makes it for you, and this applies to art, it applies to anything that's written, there's no copyright, at least here in the United States. And I don't think any other country is finding that there's copyright rights to anything that AI makes. So if I find out that something has been made by an AI, I can take it with no concern.
Yeah, but you take the result. You don't take the process.
Sure.
You understand what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. We are just bullshitting it, obviously.
That's right.
No one knows what will be happening.
Nobody knows.
I think that, in order for because now you have automation that are horizontal, that are processes automation. I don't know if there is a case for vertical automation. specialized automation in single task?
I can see there being a reason for it. I mean, for example, they have those models that will design new proteins. So it's not something written, right? But they design new proteins, and that's the only thing they focus on is making new chemicals. And so that's a form of vertical integration.
Okay. Anyway, it was very interesting to talk with you, and also a very nice experience. Congratulations, because it is. You
Absolutely.
tell it like a small story, but it's not a small story because it's.
Oh, of course. You only got to tell the
development of
high
business.
points. You can't tell all of the dirty, nitty-gritty details.
No, but any business has its own nitty-gritty details, obviously.
That's true.
But
Absolutely.
already developing a business in a situation so challenging as one of the first in a space, so doing something that is not easy, that no one else has been doing, so you have to invent yourself, is not an easy task. It's something that requires some attitude. And, and I think the best of your attitude is to tell the story lightly. Because
Certainly.
when you say things lightly, they work better.
And I'll admit, I have fun doing this. Even if I have to sit there debugging something that took me half an hour to make for 8 hours because it won't work for some reason, I'm having fun.
It is very clear when you speak that you are having fun. It's very evident, let's say.
Thank you.
Bradford, thank you very much, and I am very happy to have the chance to have you here, and I hope to talk with you again in the future so that we check how your business is going. Okay?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Maurizio, for having me on.
Thank you very much. Bye bye. Thanks for listening to this episode. Follow the show so you don't miss any episode. And remember, for those looking for the secret sauce, there is none in the soup.